pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can't see the flag anymore since Sean got on the council.
Next go around, we'll seat by height.
I was just gonna say, we could start seating by height there, the shorter people to the right there. All right, council activity reports, mine is pretty brief. I had my annual noxious weed meeting over at the Stearns County Public Works Building in Waite Park. The hot topic, well, two hot topics. One was on the emerald ash borer, which is kind of like the AIS. It'll be here eventually because they found some in Clearwater and some in Sauk Center. So we're kind of right in the middle. So to keep that in mind for people hauling wood in whatever Sauk Center, I believe, is quarantined.
I believe it is. You are correct.
Yep, they're quarantined for hauling anything in and out of Sauk Center. And the other topic was the increasing property values in the county, with some going up as high as 20% from last year to this year. So that will be interesting too. And that is my report. On to Councilmember LeBeau.
I had a meeting for the Playground Equipment Subcommittee and the Park and Tree Board and the Environmental Board.
Okay, Councilmember Erzberg.
Just got done with Public Works.
All right, and you're well rested from that now then?
No.
Okay. Councilmember Enke?
We had our planning meeting last week.
Okay. Councilmember Gilmore.
Park and Tree was the only meeting I had this last week.
That was it? Okay, all right. We do have some department head reports. We must have them all tonight anyway. Let's start with Chief Wagner.
Thank you. So to give you an update on where we're at with staff, the secretary bookkeeper, Stephanie, started last Wednesday. I'm currently working with her last week and this week to try and get some training in before our new officer starts. Officer Hokinson, now he has passed his background, psych, physical, everything is done with that. His equipment is ordered, and the tentative plan is to have him in uniform starting next Monday. He'll be here doing some office training stuff later this week, so we can kind of get that out of the way and kind of hit the ground running next week. So we'll be starting his roughly 3-month training process with him. Then, so far so good with Stephanie. She's come back every day, so that's good. Cars, the forfeited vehicles, there's an update for you guys on 2 of the vehicles that have been sold. The other 2 vehicles will hopefully go up either this week or next week up for auction again. So if anybody's interested in bidding on those, we will put the information out again on the city's Facebook page as well as the city's website. If anybody is interested in looking at them, they can certainly contact me and we'll show them the vehicles. We're currently working with the school district to establish a more formal understanding as far as the SRO program that's on the agenda again tonight. So I won't beat that horse too much. And then the K-9, just give you an update on Tom and Jerry. They are, Jerry is finally healed and off his restrictions. So the injury he had on his leg, he's able to get back out. And in my conversations with Tom today, he apparently is working him hard because he had to spend some time waking him up just to get him to go back to class because he was sound asleep in the back of the car. So.
Jerry was, right?
Jerry. That's all I got.
That's it. Any questions? All right, and on to Mr. Ludwig then, our municipal liquor store.
In front of, on your desks there, you'll see our year-to-date report. Sales are up $4,600 or 1.5%. Profits are flat with last year. You'll see some changes in the margins, especially in the beer category. That's where a lot of our profits have gone. Prices have gone up, buys have gone up. we've been kind of holding on some of those with rumors that prices may come back down. So I don't like to change prices too often up or down. I like to keep them steady. Customer count, year-to-date, January and February were fantastic. March, not so much. So year-to-date, we're down 623 customers. A lot of that has to do with the poor ice fishing. The Vikings did terrible this year in the playoffs. That was huge last year. And March was terrible. A lot of our Sunday sales were not very good just because people couldn't get in or out. So we're down 623 customers, but on a good note, the people that got out bought more, so our average ring is up. So on the positive side. But we are in our first 3 months. We're getting ready for summer like we always do this time of the year. We've just completed a reset in the store. We purchased some more shelving and pretty much have shelving wherever we can put it now. So that's been reset. I have a small cooler reset that we'll be doing as soon as the product arrives. So we will be ready for summer. March 30th, we took our first bus trip. Chartered a bus down to Surly, Fulton, and Summit, took tours, sampled, had 44 customers involved, had a fantastic day. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., I think we all got home, and everybody had a really good time. They enjoyed the day. I got letters from, emails from people that did our tours about how well our group was, so our children were very good. So, that was very nice. In fact, we had one of the owner's son come down to Fulton and open up their bottling facility just so we could go in and watch and see how things operated and how they did things. Jay was a lot of fun. So, like Paul, staffing, we're taking applications through Wednesday, the 10th, till 3 p.m., and we're looking for summer help as well. And the last item is our annual Customer Appreciation Day will be May 24th, which is a Friday of Memorial Weekend. We'll do like we always do. We have some fantastic pricing, sampling, and prizes to give away throughout the day, and welcome everybody back, get ready for a fun summer. So we will have everything set up, ready to go by fishing opener. So that's kind of when our summer starts, hopefully. Any questions? That's all I have.
How are we doing down at the legislature?
No news is good news. There's been some, I've got a bill that I'm just going to share with you after council that was put out there but didn't get anywhere. So I haven't had to travel down there yet, but we've been proactive, making some calls and such. So we'll see what happens. But it's not toward the end yet.
Yeah.
We're not there.
Yeah,
May 9th.
May not, yes. Then we breathe.
Hopefully.
All right, thank you. And Ron?
Okay, thank you. First of all, for the residents that still have their taps running, they do not want to shut them off yet. We still have people reporting around at 34 to 36 degree water. Frost is starting to push down, so I know last week we did have another freeze up, so. Compost site is open, weather permitting it'll stay open, but looks of it, we may be down for a few days. The parks, we do take reservations for the Veterans Park out there, the shelter. I think right now we have right around 20 of them for the summer, so there are still some dates open. And the subcommittee is working on the playground equipment, and hopefully within several weeks we will have a recommendation. I think we're meeting Thursday on that. The 24th, 25th of this month we will be flushing fire hydrants. Spring cleanup is set for the 27th. There is a little change this year. The county with the household hazardous waste wavered back and forth that they were going to come. There's a new OSHA or MnOSHA rule states that when they deal with the corrosives, they have to have a shower on site with tempered water, reservoir to hold the water, both in and out, so that's quite expensive. So initially they were not going to come. There's a little bit of work done. At this point they are going to show up, but if anybody does have any corrosives in larger than a gallon, they will not be accepted. A corrosive is considered anything with a pH of less than 1 or greater than 12. So that gives you kind of an idea of what it is. Muriatic acid and some of your commercial cleaners would fall into that, so.
Len couldn't bring his camper and use the shower in there, huh?
Would work for me. Crews are out sweeping streets right now, trying to get them all, hopefully before the storm comes in. Water Festival, we are set to take the fifth graders out again on May the 3rd. If anybody's seen the activity right behind City Hall the past several weeks and months, Seinwell was out working with the PCA. They put a new pump and motor in the well right behind City Hall, and they were also trying to poly-pig the line. They thought it was getting plugged up. They did not have a lot of success, so they're kind of pulled back and trying to decide what their next move is. And out at the airport, we just got a load of fuel in with a little bit of warmer weather. We did see more activity out there, and we were able to lower our prices about 26 cents. So we're now at $3.99 out there for avgas. So, any questions?
Scavenger days, the weekend before cleanup, that's like the 20th and 21st of April then?
Thank you.
Great. I'm under pressure to put stuff out on the boulevard that weekend, so. Okay, then we have a couple of minutes here. We have a public hearing to have at 6:15, so we'll do the consent agenda then, which is the minutes from those 7, 8 meetings on page 1, and then the vouchers from page 2 totaling $159,948.14.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Hertzberg, second by Renke. Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed? None, that carried. I think I heard one aye and no nays. Unanimous. All right, it is, we don't have time to go on to anything else. It is 6:15, and we have a public hearing for a variance request from Zimmer and Cass. We have David and Gail here. I assume that and you have like a single garage and you want to tear that down, replace that with a double garage.
It's less than a single garage.
Yeah.
I guess our neighbors call it like a Model A garage.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it doesn't fit any of our vehicles, so like to replace it with something that will.
Yep. And you meet all the setbacks except the one, which is the back setback.
Correct, we'd like to build it at the same corner, at northwest corner as the existing garage.
And there obviously is no one else here to speak for the hearing. Anybody have any questions for?
Neighbors are good with it?
Yep, we were talking, thinking with it.
So at the fire department, they wouldn't burn it down for you.
I know, I thought maybe they
Yes.
That would have been so handy, right? Yeah.
Pretty close to your house.
Yeah.
It's your training though, wouldn't it?
That's getting tougher to do though with materials and stuff and permits and all that, so. Any questions of the council? All right, then we will just close the hearing then and get back into the regular part of the city council meeting. And I feel it would be appropriate to act on item F under new business and get that out of the way.
I'll make the motion to approve the Zimmer and Cass variance determination.
I'll second that.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Gilmore to approve the variance request from Zimmer and Cass. And that does come with a full recommendation from the Planning Commission, I see. So any other questions, comments, discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None? That carried. All right, now you go home and watch the basketball game or whatever. And we can't. All right, then, next item would be under item A, under new business. We have a request from Voss Excavating here for, to approve a concept plan that deals with 3 parcels over in the industrial park area there. And the planning board has reviewed this and recommends approval. And this is just a concept plan, so it's nothing carved in stone. There's still some questions that need to be answered and addressed.
That's correct, Your Honor. Dave Voss has been working with his own attorney to find out the ownership or research the ownership of the old rail spur that was going into the industrial park that was removed. They have had some success with that. The plan is to even up these 3 lots. So once they figure out the ownership of the spur, then the purple area would become part of the first lot there. The yellow lined area would become the part of the second lot, and then the third lot would just be squared up. So it would end up being like this instead of kittywampus. They're only dealing with the railroad spur land 20 feet on this side of Minnie Street. They're not dealing with anything on the other side of Minnie Street.
Is that the outlot? That's what you're referring
This,
to? Outlot.
Outlot A.
Yeah, okay.
this, yeah,
Yeah.
right in here, yep. They have no ownership of that right now, so.
That was removed in the 80s?
It's, I think, back now into the 60s.
Yeah.
It's not, I think, Dave said at the planning commission, it is back to the Ampe's ownership.
I don't think that's right, but we'll find out. But I think it's Painesville Development Corporation that owned it. I always get confused with.
They would have owned it when they would have created the spur, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think they bought that whole tract from Ampe's there. It'd be weird to me if Ampe's retained ownership of the outlot. I suppose it's theoretically possible, but it would seem odd. Because the plat was, Ampe's joined in the plat, and maybe they didn't convey it, maybe, there was a contract for deed for the whole big parcel. And I haven't really dug into it, but it would seem strange if, when they deeded it, they just deeded the lots and Ampe's retained the outlot. I'd be surprised, but I suppose theoretically possible.
And that's what Dave reported to the planning commission, is
Oh.
that they're back into the 1960s.
Okay.
That land was never included in any of the title work.
Okay.
So, so this is the concept plan. His eventual plan is to build on that center lot, to put 2 buildings up, so. He just wants to save time and keep everything moving while the legal work is being done. Is there any other questions?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the Voss Excavating Addition concept plan.
I'll second.
Motion by Gilmore, seconded by LeBeau to approve the, too far here, Voss Excavating Addition concept plan. Discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None? None carried. All right, and we have the 2019-2021 audit proposal from Schlenner, Winter and Company. They've submitted that.
Your Honor, in 2016, the city, when it was the last time we went out for RFPs, and that is when Schwenner and Winter were selected as the city's auditors. Prior to that was Clifton Larson Allen from 2009 to 2015. Their costs ranged from $19,400 to $26,500. And then before that was Kern, DeWinter, and Bury, KDB. They were with the city for almost 30 years. For our software only goes back to 2003. But what I have from them is 2003 to 2008. Their costs were $14,819 to $26,950. During KDV's time is when all the GASB rulings went into place, so that was the big jump. But I had asked them for renewal figures, in case the council did want to go out for RFPs. We have time before the audit is due in November to start working on it.
Kind of interesting when your auditor doesn't bill us, right?
And I did contact her because when I first looked at the figures, I'm like, well, you're charging us less than you did the previous years, but we haven't had a single, we didn't have a single audit last year. We didn't have enough federal dollars to require us to have a single audit. So it's good to get funding, grant dollars, but it can cost us about $5,000 to have that separate audit done.
Yeah. Is there comments from staff on, and from budget and finance, feelings of going out for RFPs or comfort level with existing?
I didn't take it to budget and finance. Staff's opinion is, this is out of the 3 companies that we've worked with so far, the easiest to work with, and the most down to earth. They don't talk above you. They teach you how to do things instead of reprimanding you because you didn't do it right. So staff Belinda highly recommends those to other companies. She really enjoys working with them. And they answer questions throughout the year. So that money is for the audit, but they do support us throughout the year with questions or entries that needs to be done. The other thing that we're looking at doing is having them run our fixed assets. We'll still do them on our system, but we'll do the fixed asset input after they were to scrub it to make sure that the entries are all correct first, because our software costs a lot more hours than using their software. And Belinda called, I think, 10 cities, and they said they'd never go back to doing it themselves. But that way, we can leave them, and we're not tied to them. We'll still have all the information.
At the end of the day, even though this is 15% increase, we're still in line with what we've been charged as recently as like 4 years ago.
That is correct.
From a better company, from your perspective perhaps, or from what's worked better for staff.
They're not as intense. They keep the atmosphere more relaxed. They just, and we welcome the audit. I mean, we like to know what we're doing right or wrong there, but they just keep, the whole atmosphere is way more relaxed than we've had with the other 2 firms, so.
Then I'll move to approve the audit proposal from Schlenner, Wenner and Company for 2019 to 2021.
I'll second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by LeBeau to approve the audit proposal from Schlenner Wenner Company for the years 2019 to 2021. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, carried.
Thank you.
Okay, then the item that we were talking about informally a little bit before with questions, or the Minnesota DNR license for utility to cross public water, whether or not it's 25 years or 50 years. According to just about everything, it looks like it's 25 years, except for the one reference to 50 years in their letter.
Yeah, and that's when he signed, right?
The letter is
Yeah,
signed.
but in the license that came from,
It says-
on the license, it says
25 years.
25 years from 2019 to 2044. So, yep, the only place that I found reference to 50 was in the letter, which could conceivably be a typo.
And the gears are 25, the effective and
Yep.
expiration.
Yep.
Are we able to table this till our next meeting and get clarification on that?
I can, if you want, I
Do
can.
we have time, you guys, we don't need to sign it immediately? I guess I'd rather get the clarification before we sign it.
Would make sense.
Do we need a motion for that?
No, I don't think so. Just be no action, we'll get clarification. All right? And, all right, fun, community emergency preparedness disaster exercise at Camp Ripley. Renee will give us a verbal report, and if anybody wants to go along,
I got a call from Aaron, the Stearns County Emergency Management Director. They have received a grant from the state to do some disaster exercises. In 2012, we did an exercise here, tabletop exercise with the hospital and St. Cloud Hospital and the school, and it was very educational. We had people from Lake Henry that came over, and so when they got this grant, they get to invite 6 other cities to come participate, and we were the first city she called. And I said I would love to participate. So she said, well, that's great. There's gonna be like 6 meetings between now and October of 2020 to get everybody acclimated to what's gonna be going on. It will all be up at Fort Ripley. The first meeting is April 23rd from 1 to 3 at the St. Cloud Police Department. And she said it is good to have an elected official involved also because this is not the police or fire side. This is what everybody else has to get done, not what they're taking care of the disaster. I was wondering if any council members would like to come with. The actual activity, they cover all expenses except for 2 evening meals and staff time. So,
Do we have any idea what those further meetings are going to be, or are we anticipating deciding that at that April 23rd date?
I believe that they'll be decided on the April 23rd day. It's more, she said the April 23rd is talking about this whole process and what they're gonna be going over. It sounded like most of the meetings will be at the St. Cloud Police Department.
Okay.
I'd be interested in going.
Yeah, so would I.
I probably, yeah, we'll be able to make the April one, but as we get farther in, potentially, so.
Okay, anybody else? All right,
For the fill in the blank, would be like
any council?
available council members at the time, or
Okay.
something like that. So it's pre-approved for whoever is available to go.
Okay,
So then I'd move to approve the attendance of Renee Eckerly, Tom Fried, and any available city council members or the city mayor to the Community Emergency Preparedness Disaster Exercise.
Second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by Hertzberg, or unless Alicia's voice was changing. Nope. Okay. To approve the attendance of Renee Eckerly, Tom Fred, and any other council members or mayor available to the Community Emergency Preparedness events coming up here, disaster exercise, discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. And the school resource officer, as Paul mentioned briefly in his report, anything else you want to add there, Paul or Renee?
I'll let Paul.
So as we've kind of gone through this process, if you guys remember about 4 years back or so, we started a liaison SRO program with the school. At the time, it was kind of a verbal agreement between the city and the school district. The agreement was we'd be providing services as often as possible to them for a lump sum payment. Since that time, we've run into some staffing issues over that period, and we're kind of at the point now where I believe all parties agree that it's important to run and have a presence in the school and run some type of an SRO program, which has led us to putting together a memorandum of understanding with the school district, which is before you guys tonight, and creating a more formal process. That way, not only the school, but the city has an understanding of what the expectations are, so that we can make sure that we're providing the services that the district expects. This has gone for policies and procedures a couple times, I think it was. They reviewed the memorandum of understanding. There were just a couple changes, some language changes in there for the most part. And then this has been presented to the superintendent at the school just for any comments and input that he would have. I spoke with him today, and at this point, he didn't see anything that he felt he needed to comment on or changes that he was looking for, so.
Is this a position that you'd be hiring then? Like, how many officers do we have that would qualify for the?
So generally what the discussion has been in policies and procedures is we currently have appointed or hired on Tony Lepatka as our DARE officer. I've spoken with Tony, and Tony is interested in continuing, I guess if you will, his career on a part-time basis with us. And he would fill one of the positions. There's another individual in the community who was a licensed police officer for over 20 years. Also has a teaching degree that has expressed interest in also doing this. So it would be a matter of hiring, essentially retaining Tony and keeping him on, and then looking to hire, say, this other individual specifically for this role. And then those two individuals would be ultimately responsible for majority of the school resource stuff. We would have some additional expense to hire the second person, just because they've been out for a little bit of time, so we do need to get them enough training credits so that they can get their license reactivated. And then once we get that done, they'll be set, because I think their license renews here in June. So then they'll be set for another 3 years.
But aside from any nominal training costs, everything would be provided for as part of this agreement.
Correct. So we would have some initial upfront training to get the one individual back up to where he needs to be. But for the most part, the agreement that we have put before you guys covers pretty much all of our costs, including ongoing training for those officers. And then, I mean, we'll have probably some, minor uniform stuff is all.
I'll make the motion to approve the part-time school resource officer job description.
Second.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Rinky to approve the part-time school resource office job description. Any discussion? I do have one question. This doesn't have to go through union or anything like that for it to be
It'll be less than the 14 hours.
less than 14 hours. Okay.
What the district's asking for right now is 120 days at 4 hours
Okay.
each day.
All right. Anything else? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. That's awful loud. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for school resource officer SRO between the city of Painesville and Painesville Area School District 741.
I'll second.
Motion by Hertzberg, seconded by LeBeau to approve the memorandum of understanding for school resource officer between the city of Painesville and Painesville Area School District 741. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? So carried. All right. And we dealt with item F. So on to old business. Green Step City. Ready?
Yeah. So I went to the MCFOA conference and they had a section on Green Step Cities. It was an hour, almost 2 hours of participating in the Green Step City. Currently, there's 127 cities that participate in the Green Step. There is, I gave you this evening a handout which shows the different programs. There's 29 best practices. Each one of these has, each grouping has things under it that you need to complete. I have the resolution that Jennifer's downloaded and we can put on your next council agenda. But one of the things on here is that once you start, if you stop, you go back to zero. So some of the cities have hired people to just do this position because they don't want to lose everything that they've put into it. So, like, these cities that have completed nothing, all they've done is pass their resolution. But the ones that have done like 78 action items, those action items, if they don't keep working on them, all get depleted. If they don't touch anything for a year, you go back to zero. And you have to reapply them all. So I just wanted, I didn't know how much the council knew about Green Step City. It is time consuming. We were already doing a lot of it before I even got here with the B3 recording of our utility bills. And I think we're probably maybe just 2 years behind on those. Because I had to do that for all the lighting and the HV systems that we got through the grant from the energy, Minnesota Energy. So just wanted to feel out council and we can bring that resolution to your next meeting.
Renee, I tried looking this up a little bit, and their website isn't the most helpful thing in the world. But what I understand is basically this is sort of a step-by-step program on maybe certifying our city as eco-friendly. Is that what I'm getting from it? Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no cost to us to do this, we just need somebody,
Oh, yeah, there's very much cost.
well, as far as the implementation of it, but not enrolling in the program.
Not enrolling in the program.
Right.
But the steps are what cost.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And some of these cities have been working on this for years and they're still on step 3.
How many actions are there?
I thought I
Well-
saw like 177
Yeah.
total or
Yeah.
something.
Because underneath each one of these is more.
But it's a continuing program of, you know, being sure that your city, your community is eco-friendly.
So basically, this is something you can kind of putz at over a series of years, as long as you keep going a little bit at a time.
As long as you're doing something.
Right. Correct? So we don't have to put staff majorly on it right away, we can have somebody, you know, very loosely.
Once you sign the resolution, it's to go.
Right,
You
but
have
you don't
1
have
year to get stuff done,
Something does.
something done.
Something.
Like create economic and regulatory incentives for redevelopment and repurposing of existing buildings. I can think of, you can do one of those a year for, 30 years and, maintain your program. There's a lot of things in here, they say that we are doing, but, it's just a matter of, checking the boxes and, being able to hang that shingle out, so to speak, that you are, an
And the
eco-friendly.
paperwork end of it, is it, like Jeff said, checking the boxes as you do it, or is it?
No, you have to write reports. You have to work with them. They have full-time staff that you need to work with.
I think it's a great idea. I think we should look into it further, making sure that somebody here is doing it, somebody who has the time to do it. And we have the approval of everyone in the department who's going to be spending time on it. But
You just have somebody in mind, Renee?
No, it would have to, no. Unless Ron does, but it would have to be somebody that has to be pretty meticulous and understand the city government, understand buildings, code, and understand just general conservation.
Kind of read my
Love
mind
it.
when you started talking buildings and code.
I-
You know, that's part of it, but there's also other
Yeah.
things in here also, and talking about, surface water, improving local, bodies of water, that's something that we're doing anyway with the, all the recognitions that Ron gets from his department there, every month you get some kind of a certificate there for what you're doing for wastewater and that, what we're working with the Lake Association for, AIS and water quality.
It looks like it's have to be detail oriented and take one step at a time.
Strengthen local food and fiber production and access, we have, what's that other program that, farm to market, or
That the school does?
the,
I don't know if they do that anymore.
that healthy
Yep.
eating thing, there's several things there that overlap, and yes, it does take a little bit of time, but it's a lot of things that we're already involved in.
is this something the environment committee could take up? Environmental committee?
Right now, the environmental board only meets twice a year, but, I mean, it'd be worth talking to them about it. I think there's some people on there that are pretty passionate about,
Does this need to be managed by a city employee is kind of what it,
Once you start doing this, if it's anything like some of the stuff I go for certification, you pretty much have to have somebody pretty dedicated that's doing all the reports.
And you could, maybe a thing that you could divvy up. I mean,
yeah.
maybe Brad can work in the buildings and lightings and,
But again, this is nothing that has to be done in the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. It's just, we need to do steps all the time.
Yeah, you just.
We don't have to finish it. in a year.
nobody's finished it.
Nobody, no. it's-
People have been working on it since its conception and haven't been,
There is no end to it. It's-
See, Rochester's on number 85 and they started in 2010.
yeah.
Hewitt's on step 1 and they started in 2016.
The cleanup coming up here on the 27th, would be a part of it, things like that we're already doing.
Oh. And the outdoor lighting, we just put new lighting in the one section. Right?
This is I printed out the check sheet. So this is how it's 34 pages. This is how you track your projects and what you're submitting and.
is there a sample there of what the reports look like? I mean,
No, you have to talk to them and then they'll help you write your reports. I don't, or tell you where to find them on the website. I was shocked that cities, actually, down in the cities, they hire people to do this. I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, I think if we're already doing a lot of these things anyway, it's worthwhile.
I'd like to at least get involved and started and, get into the program and kind of like, we don't have to be at 80-some projects, but if we can do as much as we can with what we have, I think it would be a good program to get into.
Yeah, I think it might make sense to get involved in it now, and then maybe next time the environmental committee gets together, see if they want to take this up and go those few extra steps. We can be better than Rochester, especially when it comes to protecting our environment.
I don't know, I've been through their recycling plant down there, and
They got a lot more resources.
Yeah.
than we do. That's
It's a
the
rich
problem.
little city.
they heat their downtown with their from their recycling plant.
Not saying we do everything they do.
Yeah.
We just do it better.
Yeah.
All right, the resolution will be in your next
All
month.
right, thank you much. And sad to say, we only got one bid on the sewer inspection camera, huh? From Voss Plumbing and Heating, $250 for the 2007 sewer inspection camera. What was the NAD value on that thing, Ron?
Salesman told me it was worth about 500.
Is that right?
So,
No, if we're looking for a motion to approve that, or else hang on to it.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Boss Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $250 for the 2007 sewer inspection camera.
Second.
Motion by Gilmore, second by Hertzberg, to accept the bid from Boss Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $250 for the 2007 sewer inspection camera. Discussion, your thoughts, Alicia? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? None? Carried. Yeah, AMPI expansion project, all right. Ron or Chuck? Flip a coin.
Yeah, just to give an update, we opened bids last week for the AMPI expansion sanitary sewer system improvements. We received 6 bids. You can see the totals there. The low bid was submitted from Eagle Construction out of Little Falls at just over $3.6 million. Bids came in just over our estimate, about 3 to 4%, so it's pretty much really close to right in line with what we were anticipating. In addition, there's a copy of an updated significant industrial user agreement, as well as a repayment agreement between the city and AMPI. Basically, the updated SIU, the major changes in that, obviously the term of it would be 15 years, being that the term of the bond is projected to be 15 years. In addition, in the limits, instead of currently they're allowed, or they originally allowed 4,000 pounds of BOD a day. We recently did a SIU amendment that brought it up to 4,500. So this new SIU agreement would keep it at the 4,500. In addition, it allows them to also discharge an extra 50,000 gallons per day of flow from April through August. So the other major change in the SIU is obviously the repayment. If you go back into the rate schedule portion of the SIU, which would be on council page 69, obviously AMPI would be responsible for a monthly flat service fee to cover all the debt service costs associated with the project. As far as rates as well, number 4 on that page, AMPI would also be responsible for an additional fee of $1,500 per month to cover increased maintenance and repair costs associated with the new pretreatment facility and industrial lift station. So there's additional costs there as well. In addition, and Bill also prepared a repayment agreement that once again gets into the details about AMPI being responsible for the full repayment of the bond amount. We have been in contact with DEED, and there's still funding available in the grant program. And what will trigger that is once the bonds are sold, we can submit the bond sale resolution, and that will provide the matching fund that they want to see. And then that will trigger them to go through and hopefully approve a grant with us or offer us a grant.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing would be approved, but that's when they can formally make the grant offer.
Any other thoughts or comments from EMPI?
They have reviewed this all, and it looks like on their end, it's all a go. You know, we did have a few tweaks in here, but they have all been pretty much completed now.
Okay.
Only other question on the wording, is this meeting gonna be at 4:45 or 5:45?
4:45.
4:45, Chuck.
And then we did have, our rating came back from S&P, and we did keep our AA negative rating, but with the public facilities giving us the letter of support that if AMPI defaults, the state will help us make the payments. It gave us a AAA rating, so our bonding should be, our interest rate should be very, very good. And it's good to know also that even with all the projects we have coming, S&P gave us the outlook of a stable on all our ratings as an outlook, so that's very, very positive. So,
You know, like to say, one thing I read in there, and one of it was, on the ratings, was the money you have in your reserves, which, very good, Renee. That's why we got our ratings, because you got money in the reserves. A good job for Renee.
well,
So
that's,
that'll be at 4:45 PM.
yep, 4:45. And so these documents we have in front of you this evening are for you to review, ask questions, because these are all the documents that when Jessica is here on the 16th, they'll all be approved with the sale of the bond. Now, I did see that on, and Bill, maybe you can help me with this, on page 73, under the number 7 remedies of default, do you need them to set, or can it be set at the night on the 16th, the rate, and the late payment penalty?
Well, I mean, I didn't have a concept of what the payment was gonna be, and I didn't wanna set a late payment penalty that was ridiculously high, but I have an understanding now of, in the ballpark, what it is, so, I mean, we can figure out a late payment penalty. I just didn't want it to be too onerous, you know, but I think I have an understanding now the payment's gonna be about $18,000 a month in that ballpark. So we can come up with something that is an appropriate penalty for that, I think.
Okay.
The interest rate, I don't know if we're gonna know that or when we're gonna know that.
Jessica will know that when we, at this meeting on the 16th.
Okay,
Are you able to that meeting?
I probably can,
This is the only thing that will be on that agenda.
okay.
So,
And then at 5 o'clock, we'll start your working session with the township at school.
so we just need a motion.
Yep.
I'll make the motion to set the special city council meeting for Tuesday, April 16th, 2019 at 4:45 PM.
Second.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Rinky to set a special city council meeting for Tuesday, April 16, 2019 at 4:45 PM here at City Hall. Discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. And item D, 2019 street and drainage project on page 91. All right. More fun down there.
Yes, as we talked about at the last council meeting, we opened bids for the 2019 improvement project on March 20th. We received 8 bids, ranging from a low of $3,135,946.68 to a high of $4,673,317. The low bid was below the estimate. It was submitted by Voss Plumbing and Heating of Painesville. As you may recall, there was a base bid that included the major part of the 2019 improvement project. There's a bid alternate 1 was for the Railroad Street Drainage Improvement Project. Bid alternate number 2 was some additional private storm sewer improvements that were requested by a couple of the industries. And bid alternate number 3 was the intersection of 2nd Street and Diekman Drive. Basically, if the council wishes to continue to move forward with this project, we'd recommend that the base bid alternate 1, and bid alternate 3 totaling the $3,057,336.18 be awarded to Voss Plumbing and Heating, as well as the work in bid alternate number 2 if contingent upon the private properties associated with the work, signing an assessment agreement to cover the full costs for that bid alternate. In addition, we have been in touch with the property owners for the Shopko, and they would like us to proceed with the improvements, and they want the new access into their parking lot.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2019-15, accepting the bids.
Second.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Hertzberg to approve resolution 2019-15, accepting bids. Discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None? That carried.
Then I'll move to approve the absolute irrevocable and perpetual underground utility easement agreement and temporary construction easement between the City of Painesville and LTS Holdings LLC.
I'll second that.
Motion by Rinky.
Just for your information, I think I've changed the signature lines for LTS Holding to have, I think there's both a Sean and Trent Ladebor, and they're both gonna be signing it, but otherwise it's identical. They contacted me and said they thought they both should sign. So that's what that's a change that I'm gonna
Okay.
make.
Understood. Okay, we do have a motion and a second to approve the absolute irrevocable and perpetual underground utility easement agreement and temporary construction easement between the City of Painesville and LTS Holdings LLC. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, none, and that carried. All right, thank you. And the last item of action is disposition of those forfeited vehicles that the chief referred to. And there's the two of them there, the 71 Chevy C10 and the 2009 Pontiac G8. They were approved as forfeited and no action needed. And we have the informational for us, the spreadsheet from the BHE Community Solar. If anybody's really interested in looking at going through those numbers, obviously those names mean something, Spica and Vega, I don't know.
Those are, Your Honor, these are all the gardens that we are a part of, so even though it may say Spice or Spica on there, these are all the ones that we are involved with.
I learned something new the other night too at the noxious weed meeting, is that a lot of these were split because once they go over a certain amount of production, they're taxed differently. If they're below a certain amount of production, they're taxed at what the land was.
Oh.
Or it was agricultural rather than commercial. So
Interesting.
a lot of them are, like this one out here has been split so that they have two. Maybe there's even more than two. Two operations, so they can save money on tax that way.
Well,
Property tax.
we did accidentally get notified of Painesville Township, and they get almost $7,000 from taxes on solar
Yeah.
gardens.
Think what that would be if that was commercial. Interesting, but I digress. And the liquor store reports, page 114, the police department report, and then as I mentioned here earlier, another accommodation for the wastewater treatment facility plant here, and Mr. Mergen and his minions keeping our wastewater plant running good. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.